Hi guys, it's Jacob from StringBuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being a music journalism site, links are in the description down below. And we have a brand new song review for you today, and it's the latest track by Nickelback, and that's Song on Fire. So I'm going to refer to the original article as I usually do for these videos, so I hope you enjoy. So going into this track, it's fair to say I was pretty darn excited. I thought Feed the Machine hinted at a potential change in the group's approach to writing modernized hard rock music this time around, not stuff that seemed outdated by 10 years or so. We had a modern, slightly progressive, maybe even a little genty sounding track, which I know a lot of prog fans will disagree with me with, but just, hold on to what I'm trying to say here. With some really hard chugging guitars and a really strong production value to boot, and it overall just felt like a more technical listen from the group, something we've never heard before by the group, even though we know that they're more than capable of it. They're more than capable musicians themselves. However, we have this brand new track that has just dropped, so shall we see what I thought of it? Well, for me, I thought it was very, very disappointing. This is the Nickelback which a lot of people criticize, and the Nickelback that turned me away from their music for around 5 years or so. It's just very slow moving, and it's like a moody country rock ballad with some really cheesy lyrics, and it didn't utilize any of Nickelback's strengths, which we heard on the last track. I will say that the production is still more than solid though with this track, and the texture is really thick. It certainly is thick and full of these identifiable timbres, which I also liked about it, but the track overall is completely forgettable in my opinion. I've never had, or rather never been a fan of this sort of hard rock ballad sort of approach, but that doesn't mean I can't appreciate them and what they're trying to go for. But for me, Chad's voice just doesn't suit it at all. He's got a voice like gravel, let's be honest here, and a real natural power to his voice, so it does sound as if he could probably pull off a ballad like this, but instead I find his vocal tone just cheeses up things a little bit, which makes the track feel a little outdated. Production-wise, I actually think this track has a lot going for it. I think the acoustic guitar in particular being strummed away in the background, it was very much a background element. Sounds natural and organic, keeping its twang, and like I said earlier, adding that exciting timbre into the backing of this mix. It added to the overall texture, and it was my favorite part despite it being such a background element. I think the drums sound fantastic in this song as well, with the toms in particular being deep and thunderous, the kick driving that low end well, with a lot of edge to it actually as well, and the snare cutting through with yet more impact. The bass is a little one-dimensional for me, as it often is in hard rock tracks, and although it is wholesome, I can't say I really heard too much natural tonality resonating from it being played. It had no twang to that itself. Chad's voice is a little too gated and a little too clean for what I would, for my preference anyway, but it still grabbed hold of that foreground and came across as the dominant aspect of this track, and I think that works perfectly for a ballad. It's the musicality which is a huge bummer for me personally, because I think it's a huge step back from Feed the Machine. Their last single characterized everything good about the modern hard rock movement, from concentrating on slightly atypical time signature changes to strong production values, topical issues, really strong transitions, and really even a really strong hook as well in that track. This track, however, sounds like it probably came out 10 years ago. It sounds like all the other really soft Nickelback tracks, which a lot of people take the mick out of the group for. The progressions are dull and stagnant in my opinion, repeating over and over again. The vocal melody is forgettable, with the hook in particular being more cringy than satisfying. The bass is mundane, the drum sequences are simplified and subdued as well for me, and the track's bridge is just it's just a chorus with quieter and softer dynamics. So yeah, it's just a quiet chorus, so nothing's added there either. And the track just doesn't offer anything new from the group, nor anything expertly mastered either. It's not bad, and like I said earlier in this, I enjoyed the texture and the build-up of the instrumentation harmonically, but it's just so predictable. And like I said, it's a huge step back from their last single. Lyrically, the track for a large part is just very, very cheesy, using your typical lovey-dovey tropes and cliche one-liners, just everything you've already heard before. But there are actually some moments which I found quite heartfelt and quite relatable actually. There were a couple decent phrases in here which I hadn't heard before. Sure, it's not the best set of lyrics as I've already said, but there are certain sections which I think you can find enjoyment out of. So all in all, as I've said, I think this track is a bit of a disappointment, especially for me, although I don't think think many Nickelback fans will moan too much about this track, I can't help but feel that this song contradicts the port of interest, is the best way of putting it. Everyone was clearly stating to the group going into this new album. I think a lot of fans as well wanted a more hard rock approach. People prefer the hard rock stuff. They don't like this sort of chart poppy type rock ballad stuff. They're not into that, and they look like they were going down a different route with the last track, but I have a feeling that this album's just going to be same old, same old. So I gave it a G rating of 5 out of 10, which is just completely average. So if you like this video, then please leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye-bye.